America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now call the November 7th, 2019 Village Board meeting to order. Roll call shows everyone is in attendance tonight. Number 3 is agenda changes.
I have a suggestion to move numbers 8 through 12 on the agenda, which would be the closed session act, and also item number 13G, and to proceed with those after number 16. That allows all people other than the village board and myself to take care of business and then vacate, if that's approved by the board. That way we can take care of all the business other than the closed session.
So closed session will be last.
Closed session will be last. The only issue with that is with Christina and the judge being here, we need to potentially address if you want comments from them as well. So that the unfortunate side is there may be discussion on that matter in closed session that we need to discuss. So I don't know how we can get their comments prior. So it would be on them to wait, unfortunately.
Would it be more productive to have them part of some of the conversation at least? I mean, maybe not all of it, but could it be?
That's at your discretion. Unfortunately, that was what the committee of the whole was for on Tuesday night. And
Yeah, you can ask them into the question.
But if for some reason we'd like them to step out for a little bit.
Absolutely.
But we could at least start out on that foot?
Yep, yeah, you can.
Okay.
yeah, completely got your recommendation. I'm just making a proposal for all the other people involved here that.
Just seems more productive to
Yeah,
me.
I don't know how long closed session is gonna go, Julie. So
Okay.
potentially you're holding up Chris and Nathan and Carl and Jane and
Yeah.
Ally. Whereas we could just get out through all the other business and then excuse me.
So what do you exactly, how would you want a motion?
8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 plus 13G, which is the action of the court.
You want that moved up,
Move to
moved down?
post 16, comments and suggestions from citizens. So it'd be the last action before adjournment.
I'm sure I'm gonna mess this up, but I'm gonna say, I make a motion to move items 8, 9, you said 11 and 15?
8, 9, 10, 11,
Oh, 8, 9,
12,
10, 11, 12, and then 13G
G.
to, help me out here, where are we moving that?
After 16.
To after 16. That was the motion, I was a little clumsy, but it's a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Number 4, consent agenda. A, October 17th, 2019 regular board meeting minutes. B, November 5th, 2019 committee of the whole meeting minutes. C, licenses and permits as presented. And D, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. Does anyone have any questions?
I have one correction. On the November 5th committee of the whole, at the end, we didn't adjourn at 6. We adjourned a little after Peter left. So if he left at 7, I don't know exactly what time that was.
Yes, Dave already mentioned that, it was like
Okay.
7:13.
Okay,
I'll fix that.
it just, yeah, the
Thank you.
timeline looked wonky. Okay.
I will not be leaving early tonight.
If there aren't any questions, then could I have a motion?
So move.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. 5, pre-registered citizens to be heard.
Christina Mishler, 805 South Lincoln Street.
Christina Mishler, 805 South Lincoln. Our municipal court serves the people of Hortonville in ways that have not been mentioned in the recent discussions about the court. I process paperwork for citations, report to proper entities, and I collect fines. I also serve on a social service level. We work with defendants to address circumstances that go beyond a simple guilty or innocent verdict. Not every case is black and white. We have defendants who struggle with mental health issues, poverty, and other problems that contribute to violating the law and subsequent inability to pay. In those cases, we try to work with individuals to come up with solutions and address their violations and penalties. We strive for fairness to our officers, to the defendants, regardless of our personal politics. Our court is not all about the money. I have been your court clerk since early 2018. I have heard time and time again from our judge that our court is not a revenue generator. What does that mean? He doesn't make decisions based on money. The saying at every court night, quote, "We want compliance," unquote. Safety, compliance, and justice are the key components to our court, to your court. You should take great pride in knowing that the same judge has been in his position for almost 20 years. The residents support him. It has become very obvious that not everyone agrees with how the court processes cases and collects fines. I am aware of a list of concerns and have made efforts to address them. Unfortunately, in the process of addressing these concerns, some of our working relationships have been impacted. Rather than work toward solutions and repair those relationships and improve how we do our jobs, some find it easier to reduce or eliminate some of our functions. It seems as though the court is being viewed as an unnecessary business expense and one that can easily be cut. A court clerk position is not all sunshine and rainbows. There are days my job is transactional, and I answer questions, and I know that I make a difference in people's lives. However, there are also those days that I receive nasty letters in the mail, boogers smeared across them, an upset defendant yelling through my window, my phone, or worst of all, criticism by someone who has never even observed a court night in Hortonville. You as a board are going to be making a decision tonight without allowing both sides to tell their point of view, and that will have a significant and lasting impact on your municipal court and the community as a whole. I ask that you focus on the service that the court provides to the community and to our law enforcement. In conclusion, I welcome the opportunity to address whatever concerns any of you have. I am always open to suggestions for ways to improve and better serve our community.
Thank you, Christina. Number 6 is committee reports. A, library board.
We had a library board meeting on Tuesday. We approved the budget for 2020, the library budget. There's a couple things I just wanted to note about that. The village portion is not noted in the budget, and I think it's important to know that Owls and the village are noted together in the village budget line. The village contribution is about 90,000. Owls is around 98. So I think that's right about that. If I'm a little off, Ally, correct me. But I did not know that before I was on the library board. So I think it's very clear that we need to recognize that. Another thing that has come up is that the village contribution has decreased in the last 3 years while the service areas are up. So we approved the budget with some reservations, knowing that we needed to move forward. The only other Owls library that gives less than Owls is the Scandinavia Library, which is a very small library, but they also are in the same situation we are, where they're a village serving a wide area around them. So just wanted people to know that. We have an awesome library, and Ally's doing a great job. The staff is doing a wonderful job too. So we did that at the library board.
I have a question, Pat. I know when I was on the library board, I know it was discussed that once it hits a certain threshold that we need to seek a library tax.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that, where are we at on that threshold?
I think we're still okay.
We're still
Yeah,
okay.
We're okay on that, but I think the library has kind of been on the chopping block for years here, and I think we need to recognize that we have to step up to the plate here as time goes on, and in different ways to raise our revenue to reflect the library's growth too. Are there any questions for Pat? If not, we'll move to B, executive committee.
Can we get the report?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. was a, excuse me, there was an executive committee meeting on October 30th, to which the minutes have been approved, and I will summarize that meeting by saying, motion to reduce the municipal court 2020 budget by an amount that funds the required department services for court proceedings and processing while streamlining and maximizing the efficiency of department. Mueller made a motion. Nagello second, unanimous vote, voice vote, motion carried. That's the summary from that meeting. Again, that was on October 30th.
Are there any questions? If not, we'll move to C, committee of the whole.
Again, that meeting was November 5th. Most of the action was diverted to closed session for this evening, November 7th. That would be the appropriate report to get from the committee of the whole meeting. However, there were certain things in the budget that were approved, such as the financing tool, and further discussion again tonight will resume.
Any questions? We'll move to number 7, unfinished business from previous meetings, and there is none. And then we will then skip to new business, number 13. A, application for payment number 3, MCC Brookwood Drive contract.
I'll take that one. This is the final payment to MCC for the Brookwood and Pine projects. The village is satisfied with both projects. This final payment does include Pine Street water and the paving additions that we did on Pine Street and alley number 2. The utility is responsible for $70,337.73 for this final invoice. I'm asking for a motion to approve payment application for payment number 3.
How much is it?
It is $151,514.02.
And it's right on budget?
Well, yeah, with
Right
the
on the
additions,
proposal.
we had a change order to do additional paving on Pine Street.
Okay.
Plus we did the alley and stuff, yeah. So, Brookwood's right on track, and Pine Street was a little bit more than we agreed to back last year when we awarded the job, but we did have the change order and that was board approved, so. No, there's no surprises there or anything, no.
I'll make a motion to approve the final payment number 3 in the amount of
$151,514.02.
to MCC for the Brookwood Drive contract.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. B, R-20-19, final resolution authorizing asphalt roadway construction, water and sewer main and laterals, storm sewer and curb and gutter improvements, and levying special assessments against property in and adjacent to Parker Heights subdivision.
Bob, you want me to take that?
I can. Yeah, so this is the final resolution. Just like I think the last time we did the Grandview one. So it'll be your decision here as to how many, it should be payable over how many years and at what rate of interest. Otherwise, the village would be asking that you to approve the resolution and allow the assessments.
Yeah, in the public work DPW memo I handed out, Public Works, I guess, is recommending 2-year assessment with 3% the second year. We never charge interest the first year, if I recall correctly. The assessments are lower than my initial projections. Right now they're at $230.02. The assessable portion of the contract was $230,106.69. The full contract was $245,048, but we deducted for private laterals on Brookwood Drive extension. There are multiple lot combinations in Parker Heights through various CSMs. There are 1 1/3 lots, 1 1/4 lots, 1 1/2, some double lots. So, but the average person over there is going to see a $1,230.02 assessment. Again, recommending 2 years at 3%.
Can I make a recommendation? I know this doesn't involve me because and it involves the people that have the multiple lots. I would recommend that either you set it to be a 3-year or make an exclusion for those that have more than, that have a combined lot. There's some of the people that are gonna be a little bit more. So the double lots, you're basically asking them to pay the whole thing in 1 year, and the single lots, you're asking them to pay 600 and something a year. But if you have a double lot, you're asking them to pay 1,200 and something a year.
There's no interest the first year. We're looking at $600 one year and 600 the next. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But for like Nick down at the end of the cul-de-sac, he has 2 full lots, so he'd be at 24, 24, so he's paying 1,200 a year.
Yeah, but let's have them, I'd like to say, never mind.
Yeah,
Whatever you
just a
guys-
recommendation that maybe you could, I don't know if it's even possible to put an exclusion in. for-
I don't know if
you
I'd
have
mix
more
it
than one
up.
lot,
I don't think
Or you
I'd,
just make the whole
As a
thing.
compromise, maybe just do the whole works at
we've-
3 years versus 2? I mean,
we've compromised a ton. The total contract
Yeah.
was.
Just a suggestion, it doesn't affect me, I'm
Can't do it.
at 1,200, I don't care.
Yeah, I think that'd be the way, Julie.
I mean,
If you want to make, if you want to help out the larger lots, then just make it 3 across the board. People are paying interest on it if they want to
Yeah.
take the 3
Yeah.
years to do it. So, because Jane can't, they can't really
Yeah.
separate
I,
that.
I understand, that's why, full disclosure, I'm gonna pay the whole thing, so none of this
Yeah.
suggestion will make any
The
difference.
reason
to
I
me.
said 2 is because we went 4 years on about a $4,000 assessment. This is
So
about
you're going about
$1,000.
$1,000 a year? Well, then-
We're already
then it's
extending it
consistent.
further than Grandview.
Yeah, then it's consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought if you're trying to get it to 600.
It's
based
less
on the
than
12.
Grandview's assessment, and I don't know if there are any richer or poorer out there. I don't know.
historically though, is it usually about a year per 1,000, or is it, what?
I think
what we have?
recently that's been the thinking.
I think it's
Right,
about
Carl?
$1,000 a year.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's only marginally over even for the people
Yeah,
that do lots.
it's
That's
been a
fine.
number of years. Our last big assessment was 2010,
That's fine.
and that was significant as well, but about $1,000.
Yeah, based on the numbers, I thought you were trying to get it to like the 600, and if you're doing that, then for the double.
No, I wasn't
then-
necessarily trying to get it, but I was looking at what we set for Grandview. 4 years at $4,000, about $1,000 a year, and this is significantly lower than 1,000 for your average person. I understand there are lot combinations, but you have to have money to combine lots. I mean, if you're gonna buy a second lot and sit on it, I shouldn't feel bad about that, you know what I mean?
I hear you.
But it's up to you. If you wanna go 3 years, that's just that much longer. Because the village fronted this project, and we need that money back in our savings account, so. There's
So be consistent what we just did with Grandview, then I think maybe we just do the 2 years at, what is it, percent?
3%.
3%.
On the second year, right?
On the second year, the
Yeah.
interest rate is only in the second year. I guess then I'll make the motion for R-20-19, it's a long one, I'll read it. Final resolution authorizing asphalt roadway construction, water sewer main and laterals, storm sewer and curb gutter improvements, and levying special assessments against property in and adjacent to Parker Heights subdivision at the recommended 2 years at 3%, 3% only on that second year. Did I cover all bases?
Mhm.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm staying.
Motion carried.
Um,
1 abstain.
Yeah, why don't you do a roll? Easier,
Roll.
clear.
Aye.
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 I'm staying.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. C is set public hearing date for 2020 budget, 12/5/19.
Just as simple as that, we are looking to have that actually mentioned as the final approval of the budget that we're still under construction for, set for the first meeting in December, which will be 12/5/2019.
Would that be at 6 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
6, okay, that doesn't change board time.
Yeah, that's a board meeting, it's the first board meeting of the month.
Any questions? No? D, R-24-19, preliminary resolution number 1 to vacate Michael Rickers Street.
That would be that would be the handout of the maps that is handed out to you all. Okay. Because in the packet, it was actually pulling from 11 by 17, so big copy properly on there.
Yeah, I can take that. The first one is the one that's, the part of Michael Ritker that's actually, that we're familiar with, that has been vacated, where you now make a corner onto Herbert, or Gabriel.
Gabriel.
I'm sorry, Herb Gabriel. That's what it's named after. Anyway, onto Gabriel, so that part right there, next to the subdivision, would be vacated. This is a preliminary resolution to get the process going. Now, by law, there has to be a public hearing, and in the meantime, we serve notice on people who are interested and various other parties. The public hearing here has to be not less than 40 days from the passage of the preliminary resolution. So we could do this on the 19th of December. That would be like 42 days out. That way we would get it done in December. There's no harm in going later. If we couldn't do it then, we can do it in January. It just can't be any earlier than that. Is there any reason why we would hold up on it?
No, because essentially Advanced Construction is later in the packet here. They're pulling, as promised, Advanced Construction is going to take possession of all 6 lots in this process. This one not being immediate, lots 3 and 4 is going to be immediately, so that's later on in the packet. So it's at the proper time, as long as we can get the work, Bob. I would take your recommendation at what timeline. If we want to push it to January, we could do that.
No, it's not a problem for us doing it by December 19th. So
Okay.
if the board would make that as part of the resolution. The only other question is the time. The board meeting would start at 6, so I don't know when we would need to do the public hearing. If we do it at 5:30, then we're sitting around quite well. That's historically what's happened.
Will we have the same thing for the other vacation as well, though?
And that's true. Why don't we consider them at 5:30, just in case? I hate to anticipate and not leave enough time in case there are issues for a public hearing.
Is that okay with everyone to go half an hour prior?
So both it would be addressed at that 1:30 minute?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Do you need separate motions for, are we doing the resolution?
Yeah, these are separate resolutions. I'm going to explain the other ones. So if you just do this 24 and 19 first.
Do you need everything read on the
No,
top of that?
no, just
Thank
to approve resolution R-2519.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve R-24-19, the preliminary resolution to number 1 to vacate Michael Ritker Street, with a public hearing being held on December 19th, 2019 at 5:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
R-25-19, preliminary resolution number 2 to vacate Michael Ritker Street.
Okay, so this is the same process. Where this parcel is adjacent to Spruce Street, between Spruce Street and the industrial park. So originally, there is mapped out an extension of Michael Ritker going straight west there.
Okay.
And there's houses in there, and they've now occupied it as lawn. This has been going on for quite a while, I guess. We see there being no possible reason for the village to retain that. The idea would be that once we vacate that, the normal law would apply, that half would go to the neighbor on the left and half to the neighbor on the right. And like I say, they're already occupied,
Correct.
right, David?
Correct. And in the process, there are 2 other rear lots that have never been appropriated or assigned. So we're essentially going to clean up 3 parcels. They've all agreed to take possession of them and add them to the tax roll for no cost.
Are we then if I'm reading this correct on here, we're retaining a 25-foot utility easement?
Correct.
Yes.
Just in
Retaining
case.
that,
Just in
okay.
case, because it goes into the industrial park,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So those lot owners are gonna get the lot behind them as well?
Two of them will have the lot behind them, and then the ones that are splitting this will have both sides. One already owned a lot behind, one is acquiring a lot behind them, and half of a lot that we're dividing also. So these people have been maintaining and cutting these lawns for years, decades. So it's just a matter of we're taking it out of non-tax onto a taxing entity, essentially. So we're adding it to the tax roll.
Do we have to survey it, or do they?
We added this into the process for the Michael Richter and the Vance Construction in TID 4. So
It's all been surveyed.
all been surveyed.
Okay.
There's no existing utilities in there we talked already.
No.
So-
No, these parcels were remnants from an original industrial park design that was never followed through. So they're landlocked, we were never gonna, yeah, they were out there in the ether, so.
I actually remember that, so.
yeah.
So it'd be the same thing, we'd be asking for the passage of that resolution with the same 5:30, December 19 public hearing.
and then I will make a motion to approve R-25-19 preliminary resolution number 2 to vacate Michael Ridker Street with a public hearing set on December 19th, 2019 at 5:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. F, R-26-19, sale of lots number 3 and number 4 in TID 4 to Vance Construction.
I'll take this. As after Carroll Land Survey had created the new certified survey map of the 5 lots that were purchased from the village from Parker Heights or Parker Excavating, 5 lots have been created. This is in the same area that we were just discussing with the Michael Ricker vacation. So the 5 lots have been created. They are now mapped with Outagamie County as of today. Excuse me, we got tax ID numbers. It's been pushed off to Valley Title. Valley Title has set a date. Closing will be on Friday, November 22nd. It'll be a silent closing, all pre-signed. And this will bring $50,000 back to the village for the sale of these lots to Vance Construction. They're ready to build. In fact, he's already contacted Paul. He's gonna pull 2 permits next week with the process if it's approved tonight. He did come in today, but I told him let's hold off, but he wants to get 2 basements in the ground immediately. He wants to build 2 more houses this year. So, moving forward, if you approve the sale.
How big are those lots? Half
One-
acre?
They are 100-foot frontage, 125 deep.
So we got 10 grand a piece for them?
We got 25 grand a piece for them.
So the 125.
Yeah, correct. And then there's a 6th outlot across the road. So we essentially, in the process, we paid 197,500, and we're selling them for 150,000 as part of the development.
But you said something, go ahead.
Yeah, the sixth lot is the part of Michael Ritker that we
Right.
are gonna vacate. That's gonna be added to that other one.
Right.
And that's for 25 grand as well.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
So the total sale of those lots will net us?
150.
You mentioned 50,000 before. That confused me a little bit.
They're buying 2 lots here.
Okay, got it.
So 50,000 transferred, 25,000 per lot.
Understood.
And actually, they're under contract to buy all of them.
I know they are.
But, yeah, they're just closing them.
So we have to ride herd on them.
Yes,
Right now, they're buying 2.
he's committed to
He
2.
verbally, we talked about this.
But that's part of the offer, though,
Correct.
that there is a timeline there,
Correct.
so.
2 in November of this year, 2 in June of next year, and 2 in November of next year.
All right, so we have a commitment, a signed
That's correct.
commitment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Then we need a motion.
Motion to approve R-2619, resolution for approving sale of lots 3 and 4 in TID number 4.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll skip to H, village board stipend.
This was at the discussion point that Jim brought up, so we felt with the budget in the process, we put it up for discussion if we wanted to make a move immediately this year on trustee pay. The second handout that I did hand you had some other, Nathan produced it, areas close and afar, but gives you an idea of what other trustees and presidents make on the salary table. So if you wanted to take a look and have some conversation in the matter, we could use it for our budget decision yet this year. Nathan, what's the ruling on it with, how is it affected? So if it's passed, you wouldn't see it, you wouldn't see increase?
Until the end of your own personal term.
Right.
Okay.
So do we have percent of our annual budget, the last column for our village?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see us in there. My bad. That would be a yes.
Deerfield is at 0%. Where did they pull that from?
What Deerfield does for trustees is pay $20 per meeting only, is your only income.
Okay, so it's really not part, they can't budget for it.
Well, they do
They
it per
kinda do.
village, per town board meeting or village board meeting, so that if you have 2 a month, that's how they budget it.
Okay.
That's why they have a hard time filling those positions. $20 a payroll, $20 a meeting.
I'm having a hard time even thinking about this, given the decisions we're making tonight, that on a personal basis.
Right.
I understand that, you know, for myself, it wouldn't be until after I'm off the board or whatever, but, given the fact that we're discussing a city or a village employee being cut down 24 hours a week, or from 24 to 8, I have a problem thinking about raising our salary. That's
Is
my
this,
personal
something we can discuss here? Or do we have to be enclosed before we can discuss it?
Well, you know, this is a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
Personally, and I'm not gonna pick on anybody, but I personally feel that the salary, or what we get now, is adequate for what we do.
I agree.
Second of all, I think if it's allowed by state statutes or village, those people that don't attend the meetings should not get paid for that meeting. So in other words, if you take $250 a meeting, or $250 a month, and you make both meetings, if you miss one, you only get 1 1/4. Because in my own situation, there were a number I missed this last year because I was in therapy or treatment. So if I didn't make it, I shouldn't get paid.
How do you do that with all the other meetings?
Well, the other meetings, some meetings we get an additional $50 for, or 20.
It's a special, that's only for special board
Yeah,
meetings.
special board meetings. I have no problem with that. If you make a special board meeting.
No, I meant if you, so,
Committee
yeah, you
meetings.
have all the committee meetings and you have everything else. And that's all part of the, that's all part of the role. So I don't think that, I mean, I think that,
Maybe
the
then we
suggestion, but-
establish a rate for that.
yeah.
So if the special meeting, board meeting is $20 additional, maybe committee meetings should be the same. Get paid for what you do. I mean,
It's an option.
I-
It just
I
makes it
actually
more
felt-
difficult to keep track of
I
it.
felt uneasy about missing a couple meetings and getting paid a $250 stipend or check, personally. That's the way I felt. I know your situation.
The reason I brought it up is because, and it doesn't affect us, right? I mean, it doesn't affect us until years down the road if you
Right.
maintain the position. So
Right.
the reason that I brought it up is, it hasn't been brought up
In a long time.
in a long time. And I talked to Kelly before I ever put my name in the hat here. And that it does get brought up, and every year it's just, well, we won't worry about it. Now, there isn't anything out there that you could find, you know, there isn't a position out there that you could find that would be okay in the regular world, right? And including,
We're not getting paid for being here.
no, I mean, but yeah, your yearly salary doesn't stay
Yeah.
the same for 20 years.
But, yeah, it's apples and oranges.
I mean, that's just unreasonable. And one of the suggestions that I made when I brought this up was that instead of having to have the board members bring this up, it should be put in as there should be something that says, in my initial suggestion here would be to say, average out what the rest of the
Whatever the
personnel-
line staff
Yeah,
is.
whatever the line staff is, average that out, and that becomes de facto the increase in the stipend for these positions. So that way it stays on par with growth, right? Because otherwise, the village budget will always be short. And from my understanding, every year you come in and the library will always want more. If we get more money, the library will want to grow. I mean, if we get more, the police will want to grow. If we get more, the Department of Public Works has to grow, right? So you can't, in my opinion, leave one space out of that and say you are completely different if you, in the future, want to still attract people to these positions. And if you want to attract people that aren't of a single demographic, and that demographic being retired, not having a need for any additional income.
Do you think people run for board for the additional income? To be perfectly honest, I didn't know we got paid. That's on.
No,
I mean,
No.
I'm just.
I don't, but my point when I brought this up is, it's a service to the community, but
Yep.
it's not necessarily a service that, it's not necessarily a service that you should have to take a loss at doing. And depending on the type of people that you want to attract to this position in the future, because you are not going to be here forever. I'm not gonna be here, Shauna won't be here, Peter won't be here. I mean, none of us will be here most likely in another 10 years, or that will be an entirely different board, right? You want to have people who are qualified, people who are competent, and those people have other responsibilities, they have other jobs, they have families, they have work, and you don't necessarily want to just attract, in my opinion, just attract the people who have no other, who have a small enough load for responsibility that they can take on this amount of time and not be, and be financially in a situation where they can take it on at a loss or at a net zero. Myself, my personal situation, I pay, if you take this and subtract out what it costs me to sit here for the time that I miss work, and just for the travel, because I work in Neenah. I have to leave my work to come here to get to the meetings. If you take in that time, the time that I take to go through and read everything, the committee meetings, the board meetings, and everything else, it costs me about $200 a month to sit here.
But we all made that choice.
Yeah, I understand that.
And we put our name on the ballot and we made that choice.
Yes.
I think, I don't want to get an argument here, but I think we all have our commitments. I mean, I was still working when I became on board. Shauna's still working, Julie's still working. We all have obligations, even if we're not getting paid for those obligations. So,
Yes.
I don't know, I guess.
I think this is an issue we should discuss at a different level, at a different time. We could sit here all night.
Mhm.
I've been quiet. Go ahead, Bob.
My only input is that I don't know that we should go with an automatic increase, that it just gets kicked in and nobody thinks about it. I agree, this should be looked at on a regular basis, and maybe, put in our calendar and assign to a certain time for review each and every year, but I'm a little leery about having an automatic
Cost of living.
an escalator.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm not saying, cost of living, because the staff of the village is not, their increase in pay is not based off of cost of
Right.
living. Their increase in pay is based off of the village budget, right? How much money what's the tax levy coming in versus the expenses? That's, if we decide that, if the board decides that they can get a 3% across the board, that's because there is enough in the budget to be able to support that 3%. It's not because the economy grew by 3%, it's because that's the current state of the village. The reason I suggested looking at a potential, you can still have an automatic built-in and have at some point address it, because the board at any time has the latitude to get rid of it. But If you don't have that, if you don't have something built in, then the budget gets written. The administrator comes with the budget, and it says the village administrator budget, the village administrative budget is the same as it was last year, is the same as it was the year before, is the same as it was the last 20 years. That's why I say if, otherwise you have this Oliver moment where somebody has to step up and be the bad guy to say, you should compensate people and you shouldn't leave it the same as 20 years ago. 20 years ago, this same paycheck, the same compensation and dollar adjusted is $3.85. It's not enough to get rich, but it's enough to compensate you for your gas, for your time, for everything else. That's what I'm saying. If it was already set up that way, you don't have to push nobody has to be the one to come in and say, we should get a raise for ourselves. There should be something in the process to set up to say, you have to address this every year.
I would think, we're pretty far into the budget already. There's a lot of people that been juggling numbers to make everything come out. And I would move to table this till next year's budget.
But this doesn't affect our budget this year.
I guess,
This is a movement forward.
It affects 3 people's budget,
Right.
because 3 people their terms will end
In
in
April.
April. There will be a new election.
Right.
Those will be replaced at the new rate.
However, it's a minimum. So if you made an action on it, if I had to put a recommendation out, I'd increase the stipend of the trustees $200 a year, and I increase the president $300. That puts it up $1,500 total on a budget. That affects our budget by $600. That brings you right in line with pretty much top of the line in the area here. So it's a $600 budget amendment for this year. So, I mean, it sounds like peanuts, but it would take our trustees at $3,200 on annual stipend and take the president to $4,500. That's probably, going back, I believe the last adjustment was 2010, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, 2010 was the last adjustment.
Well, I have 2 issues. I'll go back to my first issue, and that is, you get paid when you show up. The second issue I have is, we have other village employees hanging right now because they don't know where they're going to, how many hours they're going to work. And, I can't see, I have a real problem affecting us and shorting other employees. That's my issue.
Okay,
Now-
I understand that.
Okay.
But I mean, you would similarly have the same problem if we shorted all the employees in public works.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
But we're not.
But we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
We're
We're only shorting ourselves because we are the ones making the decision. Because we feel bad, and I don't feel bad at all because I'm not arguing that I should get anything, right? I accepted this position and it's at a net loss.
You wouldn't get anything.
I won't
anyway.
get anything out of it at all,
Right.
right? But
except to serve your community.
no, I mean,
No.
if
No,
even if this,
monetary.
You wouldn't
yeah,
get
if this,
anything by going.
if the increase gets done, it doesn't affect me at all.
If you run for reelection, I've been quiet through this process, and I had to sit down today and put my thoughts into this, because I wanted to make sure it came out right, and it doesn't sound snippy, it doesn't sound snotty, and if it does, I guess I'm sorry. In light of Jim's suggestion Tuesday night for the board to consider increasing our monthly $250 stipend payments, I'd like to say this. As an elected village board, our role is to serve our community. We were elected by our friends and neighbors to be fiscally responsible with the village's finances. That is a level of trust that I take very seriously. Personally, my monthly stipend is used to pay for an occasional convenience meal for my family so I can get here on time, for various meetings, gas and to and from meetings, parking ramp fees at meetings, and other expenses for me to serve in my role. I've used my unused stipend funds to donate back into our community, because I do recall a conversation, if I remember right, Kelly Schleich was sitting either in this seat or that seat last year, asking if we could remove our stipend. I didn't run for a board seat to line my pockets with my friends and neighbors' money. My role as a board member isn't a money-making opportunity for me, at least. I completely understand that some of us have expenses that aren't fully being covered by that stipend. I too have expenses that are above and beyond the monthly stipend amount. In fact, there are certain expenses I paid you can't even put a price on. My role as a board member trickles into my family's lives. Unfortunately, that includes my children. They've been bullied at school over decisions that we have made as a board, and I won't tolerate that anymore. But that has happened in the past. I'm not willing to take the risk of having my friends and neighbors wonder if I'm doing something to cause them personal expense in exchange for my personal gain. Asking our friends and neighbors to pay us more to serve them is not something I believe we should do. Asking our department heads and administrator to tighten their budgets only for us to turn around and pay ourselves more is lacking leadership on our part. Suggesting that staff should do as I say but not as I do is repulsive to me. In the years past, I, along with other former board members, and again, I recall Kelly Schleif, have actually inquired on how we can lower the board stipends. Until community members and village staff contact me or attend board meetings and tell us that they want us to be paid more, I will be voting no to increase the stipend. Thank you.
I would like to make a recommendation. We move this to some kind of a special meeting to be held to discuss this further. I personally, I don't want to make any decisions tonight. I'd rather that we beat this in a different meeting, at a different time.
Could this be a mid-year kind of meeting versus at that 11th hour budget crunch, we're asking all of these department heads to decrease and to tighten their budgets, and then in that same conversation, we are throwing at them, well, we might want to increase ours. Maybe this needs to be a mid-year so that we plan ahead for it. It doesn't feel right to me, nor do I feel like having people in the community having this. I mean, my own children took a hit from an assessment. I don't want my children to take a hit because we're giving ourselves an extra, I don't even know how much you suggested, David. That reflects on us personally. And I just don't feel like the budget time is the right time for us to discuss it, because we're asking department heads to do one thing, but then we turn around and do just the opposite.
I'd like to move this to a special meeting sometime after April 30th next year. Only because at that point, it will affect the 2021 budget, not the 2020. If we act on it now, before the elections, 3 chairs in here will get an increase. So
Depends on if you want this board or do you want new board members.
no, it would be, with 3 people would be new board members, because it would be after the election.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Potentially, right. Right, so I would like to table it. I'll make a motion that we table this issue until after the election next year.
I'll second that.
Second.
All in favor?
We'll get the credit.
Aye.
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 We'll address it, but I think we should do it after.
Who seconded it?
Either, you still kind of half each.
Or Julie or Dan, either one.
Yeah.
Motion carried. I, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussions? And it looks like we have 2.
Yeah, it also came up through the budgeting process, and I wanted to panel the village board year-to-date financial reporting. Okay, so just for going into the 2020 session, how often would you want to see an update? Is it something you want to see weekly, monthly, quarterly? On year-to-date forecasting, we will produce a Fund 100, basically expenditure detail that will put it out. I think they did monthly back in the day, correct? And if I'm wrong.
And it'll show us our running balance,
Correct.
right, in each
Correct.
of those funds. We used to get it monthly,
Yeah,
and I
we
think
used
that
to.
was a little bit much, maybe quarterly.
Yeah, there was an
Easy to
extreme use of
It's
paper.
not to be
Easy to produce,
discussed,
but-
it's for future meetings.
But, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely started in 2020.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, we can't make a decision
We
tonight.
can't
It's
discuss
future
this?
agenda
Yeah,
item.
okay.
Okay.
Then we'll just put it on there. We'll put a recommendation then for the next meeting. We'll just add it to our agenda. Okay.
Thanks, Jeannie.
And then I also wanted to update, and I did hear from the ADRC today. We are 100% approved. Vans they're done, they're ready to be delivered. So I will be meeting with Amy Bastian of ADRC to get all of the identifiers and or requirements that we need as a village, and then I can make a final proposal and give you synopsis of what this all will entail for the rideshare program. For those of you who aren't remembering, we received a grant for not only 2 brand-new ADRC equipped minivans to operate our rideshare, but also a stipend for $17,000 and change for an operating budget for 2020. So I will just to tell you later in my administrator's report, we are working with two potential groups to staff these vans and then set up basically a village-wide ride share to help our senior community.
Are
So I will-
there any other things to put on future agendas? If not, we'll move to 14A, Administrator's Report.
Again, this is my handout here. So Carl and I sat in on the first renderings of the proposed trail system in downtown revitalization, and this has to do with the MLS grant. This would be the $10,000 stipend that we're paying MCC to chase dollars that we can get for the MLS grant. They tightened up the requirements, so we saw the first submission, and now they're in the grant writing process. So it sounds like a lot of the projects that we had deemed that we wanted to propose became ineligible for the project, so we are chasing dollars for our post-bypass revitalization, which would include the parks and trail systems through the village. For those of you who saw today, Hortonville officially became Whoville. Pretty neat little program they got going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the high school. So part of the community development was a part of the initial press release yesterday. I met with Dean Coffert, who is the Neenah mayor, and he officially handed the hat over to the village of Hortonville, and then Public Works changed the signs out today. So we are not Hortonville for the next 4 days, we are Whoville in support of the theater. Getting back to the rideshare program, next week I will have that meeting with ADRC to discuss all the final information and regards, rules, and what we need to know as far as what we have to do for the rideshare program, requirements of the county. Also meeting on Monday with the Legion and Auxiliary, as they are potentially going to be our volunteer drivers. I'm going to be asking for their commitment if that's something they definitely would need to do before we advertise for other help. And I also met with a lady from a company called Home Instead Senior Care Providers. They're actually very interested in our program, and went on unofficial record and said that they more than likely could offer us an annual contract for our services because they have clients in need for transportation. Outside meetings, historic preservation was with Julie on 10/30/19 at the Opera House, about 15 people, Julie, correct? 15, 20?
Historical Society, yeah,
Yep.
that was about 15 people in attendance, then about 3 people from out of state interested.
Yeah, basically membership drive, trying to rejuvenate a little bit of love in the world there. Also had a fire department meeting last night. Jim, I'm going to propose this to you. I'm working on it with some of the local insurance reps. We have an option to build a fee schedule for non-fire service relations or services and vehicle extractions. In the past, the department has done this. They sent it directly to residents when there's accidents. This is for non-structure fires. It's basically anytime you assist on a state highway or a highway. More often now, insurance companies are being billed, and it's time we get on board with it as well to build a fund for them for whatever they deem feasible for any money that we can return for them. Fire department didn't seem to bat an eye last night when I spoke to them about it. So we're gonna redo the very dated form and hopefully put it in front of you in December so we can get on board in 2020 and start collecting on some of the services. And then myself, Nathan, Jane, and Jean attended a voter election security workshop today in the town of the center. That's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions? If not, we'll move on to clerk treasurer.
I don't have anything.
Okay. C is director of public works.
Just one item. The village was awarded a local road improvement programs matching grant in the amount of $17,369. So I kind of had to go into the budget and reformulate 443, which is our capital. because I want to go ahead and take advantage of this. What I plan on doing is the 300 block of Birch Street that would be coming back into your neighborhood. That first road coming in off of TT is really bad shape, and I'm also going to use about a third of that money for overlaying the 100 block of Brick Street, which is horrible shape.
Yeah, that's bad.
And the utility is going to probably be doing the 200 block of Brick Street, the sewer, and some of the laterals there, and so Brick Street should be nice and drivable by the end of next year. And that's about it. I did, like I said, I did have to reprioritize our capital program, just projects from 21 to 20 and 20 back to 21, so more to come on that. So that's all I have.
I just want to make a comment. There's a lot of progress that's been made in the last couple of years on road improvements, thanks to Carl and his slick pencil.
Thank you.
Questions for Carl? If not, we'll move to D, Police Chief.
I handed out the monthly report, if anybody's got any questions. Just a reminder, we have the ICS 402 training that's next Thursday. I'm not sure if each and every one of you got back to Rob Olson concerning which day that you're gonna pick. It sounds like the majority of the people are going on November 14th. He's only got 2 people scheduled for December 18th. However, he sent out an email to 52 different agencies in the area, letting them know that we may be canceling the December 18th one if we don't get more people. So I'll touch base with him tomorrow and find out where we're at, but just as long as we're all signed up.
Christine, does it sound like there's vacancy yet for November meeting?
Yes, I mean, we can
'Cause
fill this
I'll
room.
move- He had me down for December, so
Okay.
I'll contact him and move up.
And I
Okay.
just contacted him today because I could confirm my schedule for the November 14th. And December 18th is listed as a tentative snow date for concerts at school, so I would rather avoid December if I could.
Sure, that would be great if we can get it down to 1 then.
Do we have to put a notice up for that because we'll have a quorum?
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right.
Okay. Couple of events coming up, next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the library and the police department are getting together. It's International Game Day. That's from what, 9 to 1?
It goes from 9 to 1.
9 to 1, 10 to 2, or 10 to 12, come play games with the cops. So we'll have, a lot of, we did this in chat and we had so much fun. We were playing Jenga with the kids and, you know, hungry hippos, and it was a lot of fun. So, and then, Officer Burkhart, approached me today. He would like to do cookies with a cop, and that is gonna be scheduled for December 14th. It's a Saturday. It's gonna be here. It's gonna be from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We're gonna do, decorating cookies. It sounds like he's got the cookie dough donated. If we purchase the cookie dough from, the bulk food store, they'll donate the sprinkles and the frosting. We'll have hot chocolate, we'll have some type of like lemonade or something here. There'll be Santa here. Santa is going to be reading to the children, and then coloring with the cops and stuff like that, so.
Do you need help baking cookies? If you get dough, are they already cut out?
They're already yes, they sent them home with, or they sent him back to the shop here with 18 of them, so he's gonna bake them and bring them tomorrow so we can taste test them.
If you need help.
Huh? What time?
Taste testing?
He's what time
No, not taste testing, but if you need help baking, if you need somebody just to bake.
We're expecting probably 600 cookies.
Yeah, if you need help baking, let me know.
Absolutely, yeah, because if we can, you know.
And I might even
couple
see if
people-
maybe my teenager may be able to even come and help and volunteer, so.
That'd be awesome,
Yeah.
so. Any questions on the monthly report? Other than that, I have nothing more.
I have one.
Okay.
What's our level of calls up at Cottages on Main? Increased or decreased?
Well, there's still calls, but there are things like vehicle lockouts.
Okay, they're not,
911 hang-ups, there's, yeah, no.
okay, not like we've had in the past? Okay.
I had a 2-year-old locked in a car yesterday. It was cold, 26 degrees, car wasn't running, so.
Are there any other questions for the chief? If not, we'll move to E, library director.
I was gonna bring up the games day as well.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, you're more than welcome to take it. We do have one big chest of games, but if anybody has board games or family games they wanna come not donate, but let us borrow. We have had that in the past, and people put like masking tape on them with their names so we can return them back to you. We encourage people to come play them. I was trying to get the police department to get pie in the face. It's the one that you get the whipped cream in the face, so we'll see if that shows up somehow.
No pressure.
So we're really looking forward to that. We had 24 new cards signed up in October, which brings our yearly total so far to 4,898. That's up 241 from last year. We are averaging about 7,000 checkouts per month, which is good. We're on track to beat the 2018 checkouts of 85,000 for the year. So we're well on our way to beating last year's checkout limit as well. Partnering with the UW Extension for some more programs. On Monday we have brain fitness, so like finding ways to help your brain process functions better and keep your memory sharp and things like that. We have a money management one in December, and then in January for the new year, a mindfulness and how to find your own happiness in the stressful environment we all have. So we're really excited for those. That's really all I've got.
Franken-Toy.
We have the Franken-Toy program on Friday. It is registration by registration because we need to know how many hot glue guns to have. It's ages 13 plus, or 13 to 18.
Do you need any more? I brought one bag. Do you need any more?
We have lots.
I
We have lots.
The participants, right?
So we, the premise behind it is similar to the mismatched toys in Toy Story that Sid liked to make. So we've got a bunch of toys that we've broken apart that kids can hot glue back together to make these weird creations. So we're looking forward to that too.
And that's this Saturday, Ellen?
That's gonna be Friday after school from about 4 to 6.
Are you looking for help?
Absolutely. If you have some volunteers, we would love it.
Okay.
Volunteers / participants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many card holders did you say you had?
We have 4,898.
Are they all active?
For the most part, yeah. Because they send out emails every day for people whose cards are about to become inactive.
Oh, okay.
So then they give us a call or they stop in and re-up them. And it's a state requirement now. We have to keep them current on a yearly basis.
Okay.
It used to be every 3 years. It's now every year.
Oh, okay. Good.
So it's more emails being sent out, more people being bugged, but helps our database.
Ellie, I have a question, more budget related.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're giving from the village is down, but is the county funding also down this year?
County funding is down as well, by a good chunk. It's down by 28,000.
Because the county itself is cutting across the board, or?
Nope. So there were factors in 2018 that allowed for an excess amount. So whatever we put into our reserve at the end of the year, the county reduces their funding for that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is the library card free?
Absolutely.
And I think.
Is there,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
is it against regulations to charge for a card?
It is. Mm-hmm. The Library Bill of Rights is a national thing.
Federal?
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
So you had a balance left over from 2018?
we did,
Okay, and that is
that was exactly 28,000.
28,000? Okay,
So that's
and-
the same amount that the county reduced,
Okay.
yep.
But then coming for next year, it won't. 'Cause you
So-
Is that
see
re-
yourself
does that
having a
reset your
surplus.
So,
funding?
no, we're not gonna have a surplus this year. We're making sure of that because anything that is left over is what the county will continue to cut. We're currently on the downward slide, where county funding and municipal funding are very closely related. They're all in the same equation. So when one goes down, the other one naturally goes down, and then it just keeps sliding down. So when we have municipal funding going down and county funding going down, it jumped a lot going into 2020. But we're anticipating that it may balance out soon and we can have a more steady number to rely on. Yeah,
And there were staffing changes. That was the reason for
a lot of staffing change.
You know, we were without a permanent director there till Ally came in, and a lot of Ally was full-time, moved to director. That slot wasn't filled, so that's why we had the budget.
Wasn't that the library just had extra money? It's
No.
just that
Yeah,
it was
no, it
appropriated
just
for
wasn't-
payroll, but wasn't
Right.
used, if I remember
Right.
right. Okay.
And that's not something you could have reappropriated, it is where it is.
It is where it was. Mhm.
Okay, and they look at that like the military budget, where if you didn't spend it, they assume you don't need it, and
Right.
then next year you get less?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
But does it reset your funding level from the county to that lower number?
It does, which is why it's harder to bring it back up.
Yeah,
So the only way that county funding will go back up is when municipal funding goes back up. So how we calculate municipal funding is taking the bottom line of the library account, subtracting what the county is giving, and then the municipality covers that difference. So until that half of the equation goes up, it'll either remain steady or continue to slide.
We have options to help the library, but unfortunately, we would have to appropriate more funds and then also charge more expenditures.
yeah.
Because Carl and I have had this discussion, essentially, they're not being charged basically appropriately for what they should be for the building. The administrative side of it is taking on the brunt of the costs associated with the building, so essentially, we're gonna take a hard look at it. We may bring funding up, but then we may also charge the library more
Yeah,
for
that's what I was
mechanicals,
thinking.
utilities. So it's a wash.
Yeah.
But if that's gonna
But-
get us more funding from the
but-
county, we're gonna do it.
On paper, it'll look like we're paying, we're
Exactly.
contributing more, so.
So, and then what we wanna see Ally grow is her circulations. She's gotta get books and materials to bring in the bigger numbers. So that's how they gauge it. So
That's what I was gonna ask.
we're gonna
if there
play
was-
their
that was
game
my
just
next
like that,
question,
because
is there a way
it's
to-
actually a very confusing, it's kind of backwards how they fund.
Oh,
There's a lot of
that's-
variables that play in it, just don't make any sense.
So
to
the
me.
That
county
makes perfect
actually,
sense to me,
Yeah, well, January 1st, the county will have another 0.5%,
yeah.
so there'd be some additional revenues there that,
so the county funding is actually based on how many people we have signed up for library cards also. So the circulations is great. We want to keep upping our circulations, but the funding formula is circulations divided by the number of non-resident card holders. So and it brings to a cost per circ, so a cost per however many things are being checked out. And our cost per circ is very low because we have less money going into that pot to balance the numbers. So until cost per circ evens out or gets higher, county funding just kind of stagnates.
okay.
So the two things you have to increase would be the village contribution and the non-resident active cards, that's right?
So, and it's only from municipalities that we serve that do not currently have a library.
Okay.
So we don't get anything from Appleton or New London, because even though they're so close to us and we have people registered with them, with us, they have libraries that their counties are paying into them. So it's all of our little municipalities. We only have 2,700 people in town, but our service population is 11,000 from all those little municipalities. So we're doing really well. What the director of OWL said is it's kind of like growing pains. for us because we moved into this new building. Everything is going really well, it's building, it's just having a hard time evening out because of growing pains.
To clarify my comment, I don't agree with the policy, but it seems perfectly net. I understand it perfectly because it's very similar to the military funding, the way the budgeting is done on a smaller scale.
Great questions, thank you for asking questions.
Thanks for clarifying.
We will now move to F, attorney.
Nothing to say.
Okay. G is the building permit report, and it is in the packet. H is municipal court report.
Yes, and there should have been information included with your packet. I'm not gonna read through all of the details that I sent to you, but I will sum it up. I included the duties of the court clerk, and this was copied exactly from my court clerk's manual, so it is exactly as they termed it. The other piece that I brought up was the net income reports. So you have 2017, 2018, and 2019 year-to-date at the end of October. So it is broken down, and you can read through those if you have questions. I can walk you through exactly how the report works. These are directly from my system, so these numbers are calculated and I can generate these reports any day. So if you want these monthly, I can do that, whatever you choose going forward. So year to date for 2019, we've already collected $66,494.55 in the court. The municipality keeps $43,377.35. So those are bare bones. These are the nuts and bolts of the court, our numbers, where we're at. We're projected on the budget to go up by 31%, I believe it says, for next year. So numbers are growing, everything is growing, the court system is.
I have a question.
Yep.
What was put in our packet, is it updated since then? Is it, like, this is as of October 31st, but you had said something that the numbers were a little different the other night?
Yes, so the debt, that was in the packet, it had the past due debt. It fluctuates every month, it goes down every month, goes up every month. So the piece that went down, we received our state debt collection payment. So what they've collected, we received between the time I generated this and where we're at now. So there was a difference.
Is that monthly or quarterly you get that amount?
What was that?
That payment from the collections, is that monthly or
Yes.
quarterly?
Monthly,
Maybe monthly.
if there is something there. So whenever they get something, they give it to us each month.
Okay.
So is the new data, is that plugged into, like, our budget? Like, I've got this budget binder, but is that new data available yet for this?
No, the data actually in our budget book is off
Is
because
off.
of error in accounting that we're working on. So,
Okay.
but the predictions for the end of the year are somewhat accurate,
Okay.
not minus what she just said with
Okay.
that stuff. Because we won't get that, we get our deposit at the end of the month from her, and that's when we kind of allocate things.
It's just because you made a comment about the fact that there was actually a higher number than what we had in that, and I just wanna make sure we're considering that when we're talking, okay?
And then the other piece that I included with the packet was some information from Officer Barr. I had asked him if he was able to attend the meeting tonight, just to speak on behalf of the school resource officers and their relationship with the school and with the court and what his words were. So you can take your time to read his comments, but I will sum it up. Information sharing and communication. His words were, there's a clear desire to work together and problem solve. Availability, we are always available and accommodating for all juveniles especially. We like to make sure that those cases are handled appropriately, adequately, based on a lot of other factors. Accessibility, as many of you know that have sat through our court sessions, we have regular court in here the first Wednesday of each month at 6 o'clock. 5:30 if there is an OWI, and that is in closed session. Then we have regular court session, and then the juveniles sit through that whole court session, see everything else going on, and then we have individual meetings. So for example, last night we had 81 citations on the docket. We had a full house. People were standing in the hallway. And then we were able to leave at 8:45 last night after all the individual meetings. So that's the basics, and if you have any questions, again, let me,
I have one.
yes.
Your submittal here that says duties of the court clerk is dated 2016. Nothing has changed?
They change out individual pages that they send to us via email, but I have the one binder that was completely redone in 2016.
I have a question on Sergeant Bars. He said that he calls you after hours about a juvenile. I thought we had to keep things, like you said, you go into a private room during court, and so now you're discussing this at your homes
Never.
with Brian?
No,
Or-
he would contact the court. He leaves messages here. We've never had a conversation on our personal calls ever.
Okay, it just
What
made
he
it
was
sound
saying
like
is
you.
just that we communicate and set up appointments, if you want to say it that way, but there's never discussions outside of that office
Okay.
regarding anyone, juveniles or adults.
Okay. Any questions for Christina? If not, we'll move to 15, communications and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
Nothing.
Okay. B is Hortonville Fire District News.
Other than what we're proposing to work on for the 2020 possible addition to the budget.
Okay. And then C is Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, and it is in the packet. D is Hortonville Civic Association.
We're still moving along with the state permits to host this event. I'm still waiting on answers. We're looking for blackjack dealers. One of them had backed out, so we're trying to get him replaced.
When is it?
Not me.
Who is it?
When?
When? February 22nd at the Opera House. If you go to the Hortonville Civic Association Facebook page, all the information is on there.
I'll take it.
Yeah. What we're let me just take a minute here to explain how this is going to be done. When you come in, you pay $25 to get into the event. With that, you would gain access to the tables. These are professional tables. It's a professional group that comes in, sets it all up. The $25 allows you to, we're gonna have gourmet hors d'oeuvres. There'll be a cash bar, beer and wine. But if you want to gamble on the tables, you can make a donation to the to one of our projects, like Miller Park, the new pavilion, in any amount you want, and for that you will get poker chips. So there'd be $1 increments, $5 increments, 10 and 25. So there was an issue raised about, is that legal to gamble like that? As long as you're not paying money out, and the goal is you're playing for fun, there's no cash reward or award. Your ticket stub will be in for drawing. We'll have some 50/50s, which is part of the, the permit fee that we have to do. So you can gamble on the tables. There's no award. If you end up at the end of the night to be the biggest winner, good for you. You get a pat on the back. But there's no monetary exchange. When you get to the roulette wheel, you take one of the chips that we give you, and you'll have to put in, you'll have to cash in for a colored chip, because all our chips are, you know, the one is like purple, we went with the color, we get all these chips made. So, and they're real poker chips. So what will happen is you'll get a colored, you know, if you want to gamble on a roulette, or, what's the other one? Not the roulette,
Craps.
craps.
Okay.
Well, craps, you can put your own chip on there, but roulette, I'll go back to that.
Yeah, roulette
is
has a
colored.
special, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
special.
It's
And
been
then
put in.
when you're done playing, you just cash those back in, and you get your chips back.
Yeah.
So, it should be fun.
Okay.
Okay? The goal here is to raise money so we can build a new pavilion at Miller Park and put in a splash pad
Okay.
for the kids. So we've been working on that. Carl and I and Dave have been working on that for quite some time. Year to date, I did some capital campaign. Some of you might have gotten letters mailed to you for donations. It's tax deductible because it's a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit. So at the year end, if you have a little extra money you want to donate, we've gotten some significant donations already. Right now, we have commitments up to $50K, and we have received probably, I think, 13 or 14,000 in checking right now. So we're getting there. So the event should be fun. We'll do it annually, and it'll be one of our premier fundraisers. So we do the Hortonville Homecoming and the event for Mardi Gras Casino Night. Okay?
I might be able to help you out with that blackjack dealer.
A blackjack?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'll see if it fits in my schedule.
All right,
I'm familiar enough with it.
good. Thank you.
We'll move to E, Senior Activities Committee.
We had a meeting last Thursday, and then we just had a subcommittee meeting prior to this meeting to plan events and field trips. We're gonna have our holiday meal down at the meal site on December 2nd. So, it's the Monday, I'm sorry, right after Thanksgiving. We did that last year, and then we made a donation to the meal site on behalf of the seniors that attend. We're coordinating with the library on an ornament making event on December 16th, looking at having it multi-generational, so kids will come after school and then open it up to the seniors. It'll be right after the birthday party. And then we're going to publish, or let people know that we'll carpool to Menominee Park in Oshkosh for their light show. We've had a few like to do the carpool thing. We go to events, and we'll see how that goes. Looking ahead to the new year, we're talking about maybe a movie in the afternoon and some other projects for February. So trying to get more things going.
16 is comments and suggestions from citizens present, and there are none. So then we will move back to number 8 for a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Yeah, you have to read it.
Tell 'em. For considering, for to go into closed session under state statute 19.85, considering employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 We will
7:24,
take 5
Jane.
minutes.
That's the wrong switch.
Says camera.
So at
We're
8:18,
now
we
in
return
open
now.
session.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Number 12 is any action on matters discussed in closed session.
We need a motion to,
We need a motion to.
in regards to the court, same one we did.
Same one, I did
Yep.
it, and,
All right, so you want me to repeat?
Yes.
right, yeah.
Okay.
And then Jim.
I'll make a motion to reduce the judge's department budget by $10,000 for the budget year 2020.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.